Hi there everyone and welcome once again to the Train Aid HQ. My name is Nick and in today's video we are looking at the Level 4 Certificate in Education and Training and understanding how to complete question 1.4. Explain why it is important to identify and meet individual learner needs. Okay, so for this question we simply need to explain typically 4 reasons why it's so important to identify and meet individual learners' needs. So we have got a range of different examples here. Okay, so we just need to pick out any 4. You might have some examples yourself, which you can, of course, include within this question. Okay, so for this question 1.4, we have got just a table here, and you need to come up with 4 paragraphs, okay, on why it is so important to identify and meet individual learners' needs. So a great hallmark for any teacher, once again, is being supportive, adaptable, flexible, and listening to the learner about their individual learner needs, their requirements, and we can make adjustments, we can make reasonable adjustments for the learner to support them with their course journey. So I'll just read my first example, okay? And for this question, once again, we're picking out 4 ways, and we can also include our own teaching experiences as well. So my first answer is identifying individual learning requirements. So it is important to find out if your learners have any disabilities, individual learning requirements, or special requests when they enroll onto a course. So as you know, each learner is unique, and the needs within a group of learners can be varied and diverse. So ideally, a thorough initial assessment will give the learner the opportunity to disclose any requirements they may have. So here at Train Aid, we send out a course application form when a learner does enroll. So it gives them the opportunity to write down if they have any particular need that we need to be aware of. If they do, we arrange a phone call to check in with them and see how we can adjust our course to support them. It might be that they need extra time. It could be that they are going to be using perhaps a colleague to assist them with reading the questions. Nothing wrong with that, having a reader or a scribe. So courses, assessments can be adapted to support the learners. That's absolutely fine. Awarding bodies, they're super supportive. So for example, we work with Highfield qualifications for our teaching qualifications. They are fantastic, and if there is a learner who needs perhaps reasonable adjustments, we notify them, and that, yeah, no problem, you can help out through an extension or different methods of assessment for that matter. Just in regards to my example, for example, they may ask for resources to be printed on a different colored paper. They might request a different font color. If you're using handouts, for example, you might need to adjust your PowerPoints to make sure that they can read the text, which is absolutely fine. You know, no problem at all. So with regards to my courses, I always look through my course register to identify if any learning requirements have been identified, and also ask the question as part of my introduction as well. So even if learners don't disclose anything, just having a bit of a one-to-one check-in with your learners can really sort of make sure that there's no sort of individual needs which have gone under the radar. So just checking in with your learners, having a bit of a chat with them, you know, are you okay with the course? Is there anything I can do? Any adaptations that we can make to support you? So I think just one-to-one check-ins early on are really important, because some learners don't want to disclose something on an email as well. In my opinion, the earlier we find out about learners' individual needs, the better, as we have more time to understand their needs and how best to support them. Okay, so that's one of my key examples. Now, in terms of level of detail, once again, the key word is to explain. A paragraph of information is sufficient per point. So I'm just going to come up with just some other answers. So I'm not going to write out the full paragraph, but hopefully you get the idea on how to answer in a level of detail. So I think a great way to support learners is through ILPs. Okay, so agreeing individual learning plans. We'll come on to that shortly. Ensuring learners are on the correct course or qualification. And number 4, ensure the environments is suitable for all learners. Okay, so those would be my 4. You can, of course, use the list as a guide or come up with your own answers. So the next one I've chosen is agreeing ILP. So ILPs are individual learning plans. So these are one-to-one check-ins or reviews with your learners to see whether or not they're on track with the course. Okay, so as a former college teacher, I would start my course, all my courses for that matter, in September, and they would go through to May. Okay, so through that academic year, I'd perhaps have about 4 or 5 ILPs, and these are one-to-one appraisals with your learners. So if you're checking in with them, you're having perhaps a 10-minute chat, asking them how their course is going, what's going well, any areas for developments, anything like that, I think is really key. So opportunity to sit down in a private setting. How's the course going? What are your strengths? What are your areas for development? Are you on track? Is there anything I can do to support you? Within a group or a class, learners might be quite shy, reluctant to sort of say anything, I need support. But if you have these ILPs or one-on-one reviews, they might say, you know what, I'm struggling with the course. Can you make some adjustments for me, or can you help me answer this question perhaps? So ILPs are a great way of showing that you're approachable. It's an opportunity for learners to stay on track, to say anything about the course, which might go under the radar, as mentioned before. So try and have some ILPs within your course, even if your course is maybe a week long. Okay, you could still do an ILP during a coffee break, just checking in with learners. How's the course going for you? Are you happy? Anything I can do to make any changes that way? Wonderful. Number 3. I think this is quite a big one. So ensuring learners are on the correct program of study. Okay, so ensuring learners are on the correct course. That is vital. Okay, so if you have got a course beginning and you've got, let's say you've got 20 learners on your course, okay, that's a big number. And learners need to be able to access the information. They need to understand the content, and they ultimately need to have a good grasp, a good sort of grounding into the course or qualification itself. So they need to be at a required level in order to keep up with the course or qualification, or your teaching for that matter. If you feel that a learner is not quite right for the course, you need to tell them. Otherwise, you're going to waste their time, your organization's time. You could make a judgment call and say, you know what, I don't think the course is right for you. I can signpost you to another course. And that way, that's going to soften the blow. That's going to really sort of steer them in the right direction. It's probably best to get a second opinion. So to speak to perhaps a line manager about your concerns, and therefore we are going to get a good second opinion, and perhaps that manager can speak to the learner, and hopefully you can have a positive resolution there. It might be that the learner has been put on the course. There might be a reason. It could be to do with funding, that the more learners you have on the course, the more funding you get maybe. But that isn't a great way to look at things, because a learner might leave, they might fail the course. It could be quite demoralizing as well if they do fail. So you need to really be upfront and honest whether the learner is right for your course. Can you see them passing, yes or no? If it's a clear no, then something needs to be done, an intervention. Of course, you can see if you can arrange one-to-one support and they could stay on the course perhaps, but you need to be confident and really nip it in the bud early doors and say your concerns. But hopefully your learners are adequate for the course. You know that the course is right for them. Just be upfront and honest as well. Number 4 is to ensure the environment is suitable for all learners. Okay, so this is making sure that the teaching environment is accessible for your learners. So if learners have disclosed any sort of issues such as mobility, we need to make sure that they can access the training room. So for example, we can make reasonable adjustments. We could organize for our training session to be on the ground floor rather than a higher level, so which could be difficult for the learner if, for example, your organization doesn't have a lift, for example, all those things. We can, of course, change the setting of the room. We can adjust the actual classroom layout. We could also implement a seating arrangement so the learner can see the board or see you if they have perhaps a hearing issue. You know, once again, you could stand to the left or the right side of the learner so they can hear you clearly. So I've done that before with teaching as well. And also with things such as the lighting, can all learners see the board? So I think it's very good to sort of check in with learners and see if the environment is okay as well. Think of external noise, where you're based. Is it suitable, or is the noise going to be a distraction for learners as well? So I think it's always good to do perhaps a risk assessment of your environment and just to see whether or not the environment is suitable. If it's not, then maybe we should consider a different room or training environment as well. So just remember, you're in charge as a teacher and you can make the classroom your very own as well to support your learners. So those would be my examples. I would aim for that level of detail there. Once again, you can choose different ones and include teaching examples as well. Okay, that is 1.4. I hope this video has been useful. Please do like, add any comments, ask us any questions you need, reach out to us if you need any support with this question. Once again, please do like the video and subscribe. Thank you for watching.